They said she was gone, no pulse, no breathing, but he refused to let her die. It happened on a quiet night. No warning, no time to prepare. One moment, she was there. The next, she collapsed. Panic, screaming, chaos. He dropped to his knees beside her, calling her name over and over again. Her body wasn't responding. No movement, no breath. Paramedics arrived within minutes. They pushed him aside and started trying to bring her back. But he didn't leave. He stayed right there, watching, shaking. They said, "Step back." He didn't. He grabbed her hand and whispered, "You're not leaving me, not like this." Time slowed down. 1 minute felt like 10. No pulse. Still nothing. The machine stayed silent, and the room began to feel heavy. Then something strange happened. He leaned closer, tears falling, still talking to her, and suddenly, beep. One single sound. The monitor flickered. A heartbeat. Everyone froze. Doctor stared at the screen. It wasn't supposed to happen. Her chest rose slightly. A weak breath. They rushed to stabilize her. Voices shouting. Machines coming alive. And somehow, she was back. Hours later, she finally opened her eyes. He was right there, still holding her hand, relieved, shaking, barely breathing himself. She looked at him, confused, weak, but aware, and then she said something that no one in that room could explain. "I heard you." He smiled, thinking she meant his voice, but then she added, "You kept telling me to come back, but there was someone else with you." The room went silent, because the entire time, he was alone. No one else stood beside him, no one else spoke. So if no one else was there, who was she hearing? Subscribe for more stories that blur the line between life and something else. Everyone thought it was over. She survived. She came back. But what she said next was far more disturbing than anyone expected. The room stayed silent. No one knew how to respond. The doctors exchanged glances, confused, unsettled. He tried to brush it off, told himself it was just the trauma, a side effect of everything she'd been through. But she didn't look confused anymore. She looked certain. Later that night, when the room was finally quiet, she asked him something. "Who was standing behind you?" He froze. There was no one behind him. There never was. But she kept staring, not at him, at the empty space just over his shoulder. At first, he laughed it off, tried to calm her down, but she didn't smile. "I saw them," she whispered, not clearly, but they were there, watching, waiting. And then she said something that made his stomach drop. "They didn't want me to come back." The machines in the room suddenly glitched. Just for a second. A sharp flicker, a distorted beep. Both of them turned toward the monitor. Everything went still again. Too still. Over the next few days, things only got stranger. She began remembering more, not memories of her life, but of something else. A place she couldn't describe. A space that felt endless. "I wasn't alone there," she said. "There were others, but they weren't like us." Then came the moment that changed everything. She grabbed his hand suddenly, tighter than before. "They followed me," she said. His heart started racing. "Who did?" She looked directly at him and whispered, "They're still here." That night, hospital cameras captured something unusual. In the hallway outside her room, a shadow, moving, but there was no one there. No staff, no visitors, just movement. The next morning, she was gone. No alarms triggered, no doors opened, just an empty bed, and one message left behind. This time, and on the mirror, "I shouldn't have come back. If you think this story is over, it's not." Because what they discovered next was even more terrifying. Subscribe now, and tell me, would you have stayed, or let her go? She disappeared, without a trace. No alarms, no footsteps, nothing. But what they found next proved she was never really gone. The hospital was locked down within minutes. Security checked every exit, every hallway, every camera. Nothing. It was as if she had vanished. But then, one of the nurses noticed something strange. Her heart monitor was still active. That didn't make sense. The bed was empty, no body, no patient, but the monitor kept beeping, steady, rhythmic. as if she was still there. Doctors rushed back into the room. They checked the wires, the machines. Everything was functioning normally, but the signal wasn't coming from the bed. It was coming from somewhere else. They traced the signal through the system, room to room, floor to floor, until it stopped right at the end of a long, empty hallway, a hallway that led to a section of the hospital that had been closed for years. The lights flickered as they walked closer. Dust filled the air, doors slightly open, like something had passed through them. And then, they heard it, a faint heartbeat. They reached the final room. The door was locked from the outside. No one had entered that space in years. But the heartbeat was coming from inside. They opened the door, slowly, and there she was, standing in the center of the room, perfectly still, just like the boy in the field. Eyes open, but not right. He ran toward her, called her name, but she didn't respond, didn't blink, didn't move. And then, the monitor flatlined. Silence. Her head slowly tilted toward him, and for the first time, she smiled, but it wasn't her smile. Then she spoke, not in her voice. You called her back. A pause. So we followed. The lights went out, and when they came back on, the room was empty. No, girl, no trace. Just one message scratched into the wall. Next time, we won't ask. Some doors aren't meant to be opened, and some people aren't meant to come back. Subscribe if you're ready for the next story, but be warned, the next one is even closer than you think. The message stayed on the wall, burned into the surface like it had been carved from the inside. Next time, we won't ask. No one spoke. No one moved. Because deep down, everyone in that room felt it. This wasn't over. Not even close. The hospital shut down that entire wing immediately. Police were called. Specialists. Even people who didn't belong in any official report. But there was one problem. There was no evidence. No fingerprints. No forced entry. No DNA. Just absence. He didn't leave. Even after everything. Even after she vanished again. He stayed. Sitting in that same room. Staring at the empty space where she once stood. Because something inside him refused to believe she was gone. Not like this. Not twice. That night, he fell asleep in the chair. Exhausted. Broken. Still holding on to nothing. And that's when it started. A sound. Soft. Barely there. Like someone breathing. Right behind him. His eyes snapped open. The room was dark. Too dark. The hallway light that always leaked through the door was gone. Everything felt sealed. Then, a whisper, right next to his ear. You shouldn't have called her back. He froze. Didn't turn. Couldn't. Because every instinct in his body was screaming. Don't look. The air grew colder, thicker, like the room was filling with something unseen. And then, slowly, a hand rested on his shoulder. Not hers. He turned. Too late. Nothing. The room was empty again. But the chair across from him was no longer empty. Someone was sitting there. A figure. Still. Watching him. Its face. Blurred. Like it didn't belong in this world. You opened the door, it said. Voice layered. Like more than one thing was speaking at once. His chest tightened. What do you want? He whispered. The figure tilted its head. The same way she did. In that room. In that moment. We want what you took back. His heart dropped. She's not yours. Silence. Then, a smile. Wrong. Too wide. Too still. She crossed over, it said. She saw us. A piece of her stayed. And now, a piece of us came with her. The lights flickered violently. Then everything went black. When the lights came back on, the chair was empty. The room was normal. The door slightly open again, like nothing ever happened. Except, he wasn't alone. Because as he stood up slowly, he felt it, right behind him, closer than before, breathing. And then, a voice, not from the room, not from behind him, but from inside his head. Soft, familiar, her voice. I tried to stay away, shaking, afraid, but they won't let me go. He turned, but this time, there was something there, standing in the corner, half in shadow, half not. Her but not fully. Her eyes met his, tears forming. "Don't follow me again," she said. And then, something pulled her back, violently, like she was being dragged into nothing. She screamed, not in pain, but in warning. "Gone." The room fell silent, but one thing was clear: this was never about bringing her back. It was about letting something else in. And now, it wasn't outside anymore. It was with him. Subscribe, because part only gets darker, and next time, it won't just be him there watching. He didn't move. Couldn't. Her last words echoed in his head. "They know you now." The room felt different. Not empty, not quiet, occupied. He slowly stepped backward, eyes scanning every corner, every shadow, every space that shouldn't be hiding anything, but somehow was. Then, a sound, not from the hallway, not from the door, from inside the room, a faint tapping. He turned toward the mirror, the same mirror, where the first message appeared. Tap, 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 from the inside. His chest tightened. That wasn't possible. There was nothing behind it, just a wall, solid, cold, normal. Tap, 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 closer now, more urgent. And then, a crack, thin, spreading slowly across the glass. He stepped back, heart racing, breath uneven. The crack deepened, splitting into veins across the mirror, like something was pushing from the other side. And then it stopped. Silence. For a moment, everything was still again, until words began to appear, not written, not scratched, forming condensation from the inside. "I see you." He stumbled back, shaking his head. No, no, this isn't real." But the message changed, slowly, deliberately. "I know you." The air dropped, ice cold. And then, "I know your name." His blood ran cold, because beneath those words, new letters started forming. His name, perfectly spelled. He lunged forward, wiped the mirror with his sleeve. But it didn't disappear. It sank deeper, into the glass, like it belonged there. Then, a reflection moved. Not him. Something behind him. He turned. Nothing. Turned back. It was closer, standing right behind his reflection. Tall, distorted, its face still, not fully there, but its mouth was, and it was smiling. "You hear her," it whispered, from the mirror, not the room. He couldn't breathe. "You see her." The smile widened. "So now, you'll help us." The lights exploded. Glass shattered. Darkness swallowed everything. When he woke up, he wasn't in the hospital anymore. He was standing outside. Cold air, empty street, no sound, no people. And in front of him, a building, abandoned, broken windows, doors hanging open. A place he had never seen before. But somehow, he knew it. Because written across the entrance, in the same words, from the mirror, "Brought you here." His hand started shaking. This wasn't random. This wasn't chaos. This was planned. He turned to run, but stopped. Because behind him, footsteps. Slow, heavy, not one, many. He didn't turn this time. He already knew. They weren't hiding anymore. A whisper filled the air, surrounding him. Layered voices. "You opened the door." Another step closer. "Now you walk through it." And then, her voice, faint, breaking. "Don't listen to them." He clenched his fists. Tears forming. "Where are you?" he whispered. Silence. Then, right beside his ear, "I'm still here." He turned and saw her, standing inside the building, in the doorway, reaching for him. But behind her, shadows, moving, stretching, twisting, holding her back. Her eyes locked onto his, terrified, desperate. "If you come in," she whispered, "you won't come back out." The shadows tightened, and the voices returned, stronger now, closer, hungry. "Choose." One step forward, he could save her. One step back, he might save himself. But deep down, he already knew the truth. He was never meant to choose. Because the moment he brought her back, they chose him. The door slowly creaked open, and something inside moved. Part decides everything, but be careful what you choose. Because some choices follow you home. The door stayed open, waiting, breathing. She stood inside, hand trembling, eyes locked onto his. "Don't come in," she whispered again. weaker this time, like something was draining her, just for speaking. Behind her, the shadows twisted, pulling tighter, climbing higher, like they were learning how to hold her. And the voices, they changed, no longer whispering, now demanding, "Come home." His heart pounded, his mind screamed to run, to turn, to leave this place behind forever. But his feet didn't move, because something felt wrong. Not just the building, not just the shadows, everything, the air, the silence, the way the world felt, flat. Like it wasn't real. He looked down at his hands, shaking, fading, not disappearing, but glitching, like a signal breaking. And that's when it hit him. The hospital, the room, the mirror, none of it felt far away. It felt recent, too recent. His breath caught. "What if?" he whispered. Her eyes widened, like she already knew what he was about to say. "What if I never left?" Silence. The shadows froze. The voices stopped. For the first time, everything paused. And then, she started crying, not out of fear, but because he finally understood. "You didn't," she said softly. The world around him cracked. A sharp fracture through the sky, through the ground, through everything. "You're still there," she continued, voice breaking, still in the chair. Flash. The hospital room. For a split second, his body slumped, unmoving. Machines around him, flatlining. Back to the building. His chest tightened. "No," he whispered. "Yes," she said. Tears falling faster now. "When you heard me, when you followed me." Her voice trembled. "You crossed too." The shadows behind her began to move again. Faster now, more aggressive. "They didn't just follow me back." Her voice dropped. "You followed them in." The ground beneath him shifted, like it was losing form. "So, what is this?" he asked. Desperate, panicking. "A place between," she said. "A place they use to find people like us, people who won't let go." The voices returned, angrier, now distorted. "He knows." The building shook violently. "They don't want you to understand," she said quickly. "They need you lost." Her hand reached further out, straining. "You have to go back." His heart raced. "How?" She hesitated, just for a second, and that second cost everything. The shadows surged forward, wrapping around her, pulling her back violently. She screamed, "Wake up!" Everything shattered. Darkness, silence, then, beep. A single sound, faint, distant, beep. His eyes shot open, blinding white lights. Voices, shouting, running. He's back. Hospital ceiling, doctors surrounding him, hands gripping his arms. "You're okay, stay with us." His chest heaved. Air rushed back into his lungs. He was alive. Back. He turned his head, slowly, weakly, toward the chair beside him. Empty, of course. But then, a reflection. In the dark screen of a powered-off monitor, something stood behind him, still, watching. And then, it smiled. His heart dropped. Because even though he escaped, something else came back too. And this time, it didn't need a door. This isn't the end. Because what came back with him isn't done yet.